my name is Nicole, and I'm going to tell you all about my experience with working with the Cheesecake Factory. So my major at UNLV is hospitality management, and so with that degree, we need 1,000 hours in the industry. So I'm a junior now, so back when I was a freshman, I thought, hey, I really like the Cheesecake Factory. I love the food, the people, the desserts. Why not give this a go? So I applied and I got it, and I started as a hostess. So when I started, it was amazing people, amazing networking, just amazing all-around service. And so I thought, wow, I'm gonna love this place. So as time went on, I trained as the hostess. I even started helping bussers bus their tables, push tables, clean them. I even helped food runners help run food, sauces, everything in between. And for servers, I would take some drink orders, get some drinks, help with babies if they needed high chairs or anything like that. I did everything under the sun except do stuff with alcohol because I'm not 21 yet. So I didn't really complain much. I went about my business. I went to work. If people needed help, I would help them. It would just be a family thing to do. And so as time went on, a few months passed, and I was like, okay, I'm still really loving it. I'm starting to get on my year mark, and we hired some new people. And in the hostess stand, there's 3 different roles. It's a hostess, a greeter, and a wing. I'm sorry, a hostess, a greeter, and a filler. And so basically what those jobs entitle is when you first start, you're a hostess, and that means running the tables, calling out people's name to walk them to the tables. Pretty easy, explainable job. A filler is you're very high up. That's a promotion at the hostess stand. And a filler is those putting you into the computer. So they find out, they take how many people you are, and they put them in the computer and how to plot everything, making sure every server gets the right amount of tables, the rotation is fine. If we have big parties walk in, they're the ones who end up helping them push the tables together and figuring out where they're gonna go, because the Cheesecake Factory does not take reservations, as we all know. And so the greeter is helping the filler. So a greeter just takes the name down and the person, how many are in their party, and all that fun stuff. So if we're super slammed, that's when we need a greeter. Typically on slower nights, we don't really need one. But anyways, so as time went on, I'm hitting my year mark, and they hired a few new people. So they ended up getting promoted to a filler, and I just kind of sat there. I was like, okay, I understand, I'm in school, they're probably not going to promote me. A 1.5 year mark comes through, and finally I told my boss, I was like, hey, I think I'd be a really great filler. Could you please, maybe we can talk about my promotion if I could? And he said, I think you'd be great. And I told him, I was like, how come I didn't get it before as opposed to all these other people? And he went about saying he didn't know I was interested. So that kind of dawned on me. I was like, okay, maybe I'm sorry. It was my lack of communication, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna try harder. I'm gonna make sure I communicate everything now with everyone, every person, every manager, just to make sure that everything's clear and precise. So as I'm training to be a filler, a lot of the managers that I have there, they've worked with me through and through. About half of them were new, so they still were kind of getting to know me and everything. And so because of these managers, they were coming from other cheesecakes or getting trained from other places, I would do one thing as a filler, and one manager would tell me one thing, and another manager would tell me a completely opposite thing. And then I would basically just wing it that shift, because I didn't know if I was right, if I was doing it wrong. So I just did it how I was properly trained by every other filler. And so as time went on, as I would do things, I would kind of go things through the books as it was supposed to be, as I was trained on how to do it. And as I've seen, because now I'm reaching about 2 years on this whole cheesecake train, and I was doing it by my experience because the managers weren't really having that big communication gap that we needed. And so as time went on, I don't usually get mad. I always help other people. and my managers come up to me one day and said I had a bad attitude. And that really hurt me because I'm not one to ever have a bad attitude. I'm not one to ever bring personal problems into work, but I took it and I was like, okay, like, I'm sorry, I apologize if I snapped at you, but it was just, lack of communication. And as time went on, I realized that I kept doing my job and other people's job, and I was just trying to make it better. I would always pick up people's shifts. I cleaned the host stand, I fixed the host schedule. I did everything even when they didn't ask me to, and it just hurts knowing that the lack of communication there, the lack of trust they have with the hostesses, the lack how they loved every other serving group except the hostesses. They just let us kind of go into shambles, and I didn't really want to let that happen. And so I was the one who set up a host meeting. Out of the 2.5 years that I've been there, we've had 2 host meetings. 2. Like, of all the hostesses, just 2. And so that, first off, was the first one we've ever had when I was there. It just talked about like how to boost our ratings when secret shoppers came in, and it didn't really help. The second one was a giant lash out. Everyone was just saying how they felt and having it bottled in, and those meetings were a year apart. So new host staff, new managers, new everything. So it was just everything bottled in. And working there, I've resigned because the lack of communication, the lack of trust, and lack of everything is what I've learned. And this relates to human resources because one of the major problems is termination, employee turnover, and there's just many, many things that HR has to deal with, and this is one of those things where it's like lack of communication and problems with technicalities and everything like that. So I'm here to say that if you really feel passionate about something, if you put your heart and soul into it, don't feel bad for stepping up, because the worst someone can say to you is no, but that means you should just try harder. As my best friend would always say, even if you lose, you never end up losing completely, because you either win or you learn something. And by working at the Cheesecake Factory, I learned that you should always try to implement some kind of communication, even if it doesn't go your way, or even if it goes into shambles. You should always try to just take a step back, breathe, and explain yourself, and just explain that everything will piece itself together at the end point. And I just want to say that you can be strong and you can do this, and that's my TED Talk.